Okay, I blame Wikipedia for this. So how did this happen? I was looking through Pinterest and I saw a bunch of memes about China's names for Japan and how they were called like Dwarf, and how Japan was like, oh, why don't you call us Sunrise Land? And then I was like, what did China actually call Japan? Like that got me thinking, did China actually call Japan Dwarf? Like what happened there? So I went and did some research and no, wasn't that exciting. Yeah, there were exciting parts, but like, oh no. That the dwarf thing is a misconception, and it's one that is actually held by some Chinese native speakers as well. So like I'm not trying to find fault in anyone for believing it. Like, why wouldn't you believe it? It's like life is stranger than fiction. Empires do crazy things. Oh, and also as a note here, because this video is mainly about China's names for Japan and not Japan's internal politics, therefore most of the sources I am using will be Chinese, and there's also a fact that Japan's first book, Kojiki or 古世纪, was written in like 712 AD, while these names I'm talking about will go back further than that, so it's not really helpful if I were to consult Japanese sources. I am talking about the names that were recognized by China as an empire while Japan was its vassal state. So that's like what I'll be covering. And yeah, let's start. Okay, so let's start by talking about this character first. This character was what was referred to as Wa, but that I do believe is the Japanese pronunciation for it. The Chinese pronunciation changes as it does with like practically all Chinese characters. It's like there are different pronunciations, different meanings for different situations. But if we were to just talk about this character itself, it doesn't appear in the oldest oracle bone inscriptions or the bronze inscriptions. Its first appearance, I do believe, is in Shijing, the Book of Songs, which is the oldest collection of Chinese poetry. Specifically, it appears in the poem 小雅四母 in the line 周到位移. 周到位移 means a winding road that is far away. 位移, in this case, the phrase that contains this character just means far and distant. And if I were to look in 说文解字, this is China's first dictionary and the first systematic analysis of Chinese characters. This character's meaning was listed as having two meanings. One is far and distant, as we said. The other is 顺貌. 顺貌 means the appearance of obedience and submission, like being docile. That's basically its meaning. And if we were to look in the first record of there being war people, or like this word being associated with what we now call Japan, it will be in the Book of Han Geography, 汉书地理志, and there is a phrase that said, 乐浪海中有倭人，分为百余国，以碎石来现见云. This just means 乐浪海. 乐浪海 refers to what we now call the Sea of Japan or the East Sea. And 乐浪海中有倭人, there are the war people in the East Sea. And they are divided into over 100 kingdoms, and periodically they will come and give tribute. So that's what it means. In the book of later Han, there will be a note that in around 108 BC, when Emperor of Han conquered a portion of Korea, more than 30 of these kingdoms of war would make contact with the Han court through mostly the use of courtiers and scribes. And out of these 30 or so kingdoms, the largest was Yamatai, and so their ruler was referred to as 大倭王, or the Great War King. And then further on in the Book of Later Han, it will go into more detail, specifically saying that in the second year of 建武中原, which is roughly 57 AD, this is the second and last reign of Emperor Guangwu of Han, there, 倭奴国, this kingdom of war, would send officials with tribute, and Emperor Guangwu bestowed upon them seal and ribbon. Seal and ribbon, well, seal just refers to a seal that you stamp with, and it represents your official position. Ribbon, because in ancient times, people would thread through the seal with a ribbon and then carry them on their bodies. And so it's called seal and ribbon, which is also representative of an official position. And this was unearthed in Japan in 1784, so that matches up. This seal was cast in gold, and the top of it is the shape of a serpent, which back then was used to represent the position of a king of a vassal state. So that matches up. And at the bottom, there are 5 characters carved in. They are Han Wo Nu Guo Wang. Han refers to the Han dynasty, the Han emperor, the Han court, so on. This character is Wei, but it's used to represent War in this case. It's a simplified version to represent that character due to the state of its being carved in. So it's that. And it represents War. It has the meaning in the Han dynasty. The Han dynasty meaning for it was 顺从, which is to follow, to obey. It's a verb now. And people believe that it was a message because although these people, this kingdom was referred to as war from before, in giving a seal, the emperor just gave them an official position. He gave them an official name, and there's belief that there is a significance in the name that he gives them. Specifically, the message that I've seen that people believe that Emperor Gong was saying was, 尔国虽去汉遥远，然而务必顺从于汉。 Although your kingdom is far away from Han, you still must obey or follow the Han court, the Han emperor. So it's telling them to follow orders. Literally, it's telling them to not rise up, to not do anything to cause trouble, to start waves. And yeah, let's see how that goes. And the third character, Nu. This character represents a relationship between the two parties, specifically a superior and inferior, master and subordinate relationship, empire and vassal state. But if you were to run this character through Google Translate, so don't do that, it will probably come up with either master or not master. It will come up with either servant or slave. And once again, keep in mind, this is a translation. There's going to be things left out. And also, yeah, in ancient times, it represented an unequal relationship. It did not mean like the English concept of what the word means. And Guo means kingdom or country. Wang means king. So that's that. Right, and inside the Book of the Han, there is also a description of what the kingdom of Wu was like. Like he went and traveled there and basically describes the geography, the social state at that time, laws, customs, clothing, its family structure, and so on. And it's quite long, so I didn't translate it. Let me know if you're interested in that. Let's talk about this name. This name, 日本 or Nihon, is the name of Japan that is used until present day. And if we were to trace back like the influences that sort of led to this name, it can go back to the reign of Emperor Yang in the Sui dynasty. In the Sui dynasty, there was an envoy sent from Japan and to China. His name was 小野妹子 Onono Imoko. His Chinese name was Su Yingao, I do believe. And he carried a letter from the ruler of Japan at the time. Inside the letter was basically their desire to be on equal standing with the Chinese Empire. They wanted to be on equal standing. They didn't want to have the like subordinate and superior relationship from before. They wanted to be equal. And the issue with that is like, hey, I've seen lots of articles online talking about the thing that they said in the letter, what triggered the Emperor of China, and basically what almost caused a diplomatic nightmare. And yeah, this is what happened. The letter was addressed like this. This translates to the emperor of the place where the sun rises greets the emperor of the place where the sun sets. Now, the problem isn't with the sun rises and sunsets thing. The problem is that he used the phrase 天子. 天子 means the son of heaven. It is a title that's only claimed by the Chinese emperor. So as you can imagine, Emperor Yang was not pleased with that. Like back then, Japan was not like the very complex society and the well-developed society it is now. From Emperor Yang's eyes, it's like this small kingdom who is still like very simple and sort of barbaric in his eyes, suddenly decided to try and be on the same level with him and use this title, it wasn't a good reaction. Apparently, from what I found, his reaction was to say to his minister Harold, if there are any more letters from rude barbarians, no need to report them to me. So apparently he said that. And then but the thing is, Sui China at that time, they were already having conflicts with Goguryeo, a Korean kingdom. Sorry about the pronunciation, but they were already having conflicts with them, fighting them. They didn't want to start up any conflicts with other neighboring countries. That was the reason that people guess that the emperor did not have a very big reaction to this mistake. He still sent an official along with 13 Chinese envoys with Onono Imako back to Japan, and he gave him a letter to give to the ruler of Japan, and that letter got lost somewhere in Baekje. Hey, another Korean kingdom. He said, the envoy Onono Imako said that he was robbed. I do believe he said that he was robbed and the letter was lost, and there are beliefs that he purposely lost the letter and then blamed it on Baekje, but who knows? But either way, the loss of that letter was probably a good thing, because the emperor probably wrote in there about this whole thing, and he probably didn't be very nice about it, so it's probably best that he lost that letter. And afterwards, this happened in 607, by the way, and then later in 609, he would return to China to send the envoys back to China, and this time his letter to Emperor Yang would have been the Eastern Emperor respectfully pays homage to the Western Emperor. This time he uses the phrase Tianhuang and Huangdi and avoided the whole issue of status, so the whole thing blew over. And now we come to the Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty is where things get interesting and where official name change happens. This is when China acknowledges name change from 倭国 to Japan to 日本. Okay. By the way, on Wikipedia it will say that this person was sent from Japan to notify China of their official name change and so on. But you think in the times of empires and vassal states that the vassal state can just change their name whenever they want? No. And then inside 史记正义 by Zhang Shoujie of the Tang Dynasty, it was recorded that Empress Wu changed the name of Wu to 日本. Okay, yeah, so Empress Wu refers to Wu Zetian. She is the person that would later become the only female emperor in Chinese history. During this time, she was still empress, but she held control over the whole court, so she was ruling from behind. But her status, her official name at this time was still empress. And this sort of aligns with historical records that would later be from the Ming Dynasty, which gave an official timeline of when this happened. It said that this name change happened in the Xianheng period of the Tang Dynasty. The Xianheng period was roughly March of 670 to August of 674. So during that time, that lines up with when Wu Zetian was in power as the empress. And as for why this name change happens, there were 3 reasons given, 3 reasons officially listed. In the Old Book of Tang, it is said that because the country is near the sun, therefore the name got changed. And this is a good point to talk about the meaning of the name Japan. 日本 means 日出之本. 日 means day, sun. 出 is to come out. 之 is a possessive, and 本 here means origin or the place of origin. So literally the origin of the dawn, the origin of the rising sun, land of the rising sun, so on. So yeah, that's the first reason. The second reason, in the new book of Tang, it said 日本古倭奴也. So here it directly makes a link first and says Japan is the ancient war. Japan is the ancient war. And it said that after learning the pronunciation, they disliked war and wanted to change it. They learned the Chinese pronunciation. I was like, the Chinese pronunciation does not sound nice, so we want to change it. And then in the Old Book of Tang, they also said that some envoys told the Chinese that 日本 was originally a small kingdom who then grew bigger and annexed War. So it's like they took over War, and so their name should be changed to their own instead of continuing under 倭国. There's also another reason. This reason is not backed by historical evidence anyway, but I found it on the internet and decided to just say it. So it is the belief, because this takes place not that long after 百江口之战, after the Battle of Baekgang. Sorry about the pronunciation, Battle of Baekgang. This is a conflict between the Korean kingdoms of Silla and Baekje, and Silla was allied with Tang China, with Baekje allied with Yamato Japan, and so those two had a conflict as well. Like they like got wound into it, and like they had conflict. And after this conflict, in order to restore relations, Japan sort of went, well, why don't we change the name and dissociate ourselves from 倭国? Once again, no historical evidence for this. So now let's go on to the derogatory stuff. Like, why did war become so known as derogatory when it isn't? Well, in the Ming Dynasty, it is recorded that Japanese pirates colluded with Chinese seafarers, and they would harass the eastern coasts of Ming China. And these people in general were referred to as Wokou. War as in the kingdom of war, saying they come from war. Some they do, some of them don't, but yeah. And Ko is the derogatory part of this. Ko means bandit or pirate, and it is derogatory. But because of how well known this link is, like how well known Wokou this term is, there's just a bad association with it. Okay, so it might have affected even to modern time the perception of the word war. So that might be one of the reasons why people are so quick to be like, oh, it doesn't mean something good. Yeah, this just establishes Wokou is derogatory, and then I saw this online, and Wikipedia straight up went ahead and said the ruler of Japan is called the King of Bandits by the Chinese, and we're not going to do anything more about this. Of course, I understand different culture, different translations, and so on, but it's just shocking. It's a shocking, and goes once again to tell you that not everything on the internet is believable. So yeah. Now, what we've just talked about are some official names for Japan. Like, these are the ones used in political interactions. These are the ones in like official documentation. And by official, I mean the records from court at that time. But there were also nicknames, or like just words, phrases that were used to refer to the land that is now Japan among the general populace. So let's talk a bit about that. One is Dongying. This term might be familiar to anyone who has watched the last few episodes of The Untamed, specifically when Wei Wuxian and Lang Wangji goes into the forbidden library of the Gusu Lan sect and finds a book of strange music from Dongying. Dong means east, Ying means ocean, so this was the name for Japan, and they got called Eastern Ocean. But Ying might have also referred to Yingzhou. Yingzhou is a mystical mountain in Chinese legend, and it's supposedly located in the East Sea. So that was used. Yingzhou was also used to refer to Korea, actually. Jeju Island specifically used to be called Yingzhou. And in the records of Grand Historian written by Sima Tian, there records that in the Qin dynasty, Xu Fu and 3,000 men and women were sent into the Eastern Sea by Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, searching for immortality pills. So the secret to immortality, and they were supposedly sent to Yingzhou. It was never recorded where they went, but there is the belief they might have landed in Japan, because like afterwards there arose a whole bunch of like temples and like memorials to Shifu in Japan, and they were calling him like the god of agriculture and medicine or something like that. But like nobody knows, like historically, did he actually ever go to Japan? Or back then they would have been called war either. They would have been called Dongyi. Dong means east, Yi means barbarian. They would have just been wrote off as Eastern barbarians, since they were still, I'm not sure if Japan entered the feudal era at that point. They were still like very fragmented into like hundreds of little communities. So I'm not sure. Please let me know like if you're more familiar with that side of history. Yeah. Okay, and another name that in ancient times was used among the common people to refer to Japan was Fusang-guo. Fusang is a tree in Chinese mythology. Depending on which version you read, the one that I'm more familiar with is that it's a tree in the east that held 10 suns in its branches. And every day a sun would rise up and bring daylight to the mortal realm. But one day all 10 suns rose up, and that's when Hou Yi the archer shot down 9 of the suns. He and his wife got sentenced to the mortal realm, and then his wife ate the immortality pills, and she flew up to the moon to become Chang'e, the goddess of the moon. Yeah, but the tree that held those suns was called Fusang. And so Fusang Guo, the kingdom of Fusang, obviously a lot of people do believe that it was used to refer to Japan. But the thing is, I do believe the term Fusang Guo comes from when this monk was going around in the city and like just telling random strangers about this Fusang Guo that he's been to, this kingdom of Fusang. And he would later write a book describing this kingdom and the customs there and basically the land there. And later on, scholars would debate that this Fusang Guo did not sound like it was Japan. Like, people would debate that it was actually Mexico and Fusang Guo did not refer to Japan. But since this gets mentioned a lot, I thought that I would just put it here. And there's also like talk of a Fusang Cun, a village of Fusang, but then that Fusang Cun is believed to be like an area in Shandong province, which is in the east of China. So that's that. Now we've moved on into modern times. So in modern times, there's also a nickname for Japan. Like I saw this on Bilibili in the comments mostly. And yeah, that is Nihong. Nihong, this phrase, or Ni just by itself, means rainbow. Okay, 彩虹 is like the more simpler, basic one. Nihong, this one means rainbow. And if you add a deng at the end, like deng as in light, as in a light bulb or like a lamp, that kind of light. 霓虹灯 means neon light. And if anyone has probably guessed, 霓虹 sounds like Nihong. So like it's like phonetically similar. And so it's become like a nickname for Japan. Yeah, as for the reason, in my head, the way I explain it to myself is that 日本 sounds formal. Because that is like 日本 or 日本国 is the official name for Japan, and calling a country by its official name just sounds formal. So in a way to be casual, people came up with Nihong. The English equivalent would probably be like the People's Republic of China instead of saying China, or the United States of America instead of US or USA. Alright, another thing I should probably mention is that Japan did go through some name changes in recent history. Yeah, during after the Meiji Restoration, they sort of went on to an empire phase, and during that time they were called 大日本帝国, which not sure what Wikipedia says about that, but it literally translates to the Great Japanese Empire. And it sounds pompous, like really pompous, because the 大 from the 大, it means great in this case. And the only times I ever seen Chinese people use it in that way is referring to past dynasties, like when someone says 大唐盛世 or 大明大清. I mean, 大唐盛世 means, this phrase means the prosperous ages of the Great Tang. Yeah, I've only seen it used in that context, so when an empire just calls themselves their official names, great, it just sounds pompous. Yeah, and then later on, afterwards, their name got changed into 日本国. The 国 at the end, once again, means kingdom or country. Thank you for watching, and please let me know if there are any inaccuracies. These are just some terms I found online, and so, yeah, it might not be all true, but I try my best. I can only say I try my best. And yeah, as an ending note, this phrase, 30年河东, 30年河西. Nothing in this life is permanent. Nothing in this world stays the same. So treasure the time you have now, because you never know what might happen in the future. And just live life with no regrets. Okay, bye.